mycology. Beginning with mycology or the study of fungus, or study of fungi. Okay. First is the general properties. Fungi, they are unicellular or they are multicellular. Okay. They are eukaryotes, that is, they have 80S ribosomes. Cell wall is made up of chitin, mannan, and glucomannan. Chitin is stained by LPCD. LPCD is some stain, this chitin is stained. And cell wall is also made of mannan and it is also made of glucomannan. Cell membrane contains ergosterol. Reproduction with the help of sexual spores or asexual spores. Now, lab diagnosis is by microscopy. GMS is gomodimethamine silver nitrate stain. This is the stain for fungus. Culture. Culture में we use suburat dextrose agar is used. इसका pH is 5.4. Suburat dextrose agar is used. pH of this is 5.4. ELISA and PCR is another method of diagnosis. Then the drugs that are given against this, they are antifungal drugs. Then the thing is what? Classification. So systemic classification, which is based on sexual spores. So there is sexual stage, and the spores are ascospores, basidiospores, zygospores, and Deuteromycetes has no known sexual stage known as fungi imperfect type. Ascomycetes has ascospores, Basidiomycetes has basidiospores, Zygomycetes has zygospores. Majority of pathogenic fungi, they belong to Deuteromycetes. So majority of this pathogenic forms, they belong to Deuteromycetes and they do not produce any kind of spores. Morphological classification, this is important. And morphology means the form, outer form. So basically it is based on the shape. Okay, so yeast, yeast-like and mold. Yeast is unicellular. Example of yeast is Cryptococcus. Cryptococcus is an example of yeast. Yeast-like is they have pseudohyphae. Example Candida albicans. So Candida is not an yeast, it is yeast-like. Why is it yeast-like? Because had it been yeast, there should have been hyphae. But this is having pseudohyphae. Okay, pseudohyphae. Mold. Mold is multicellular. Example Aspergillus. Mold, they are multicellular. Example is Aspergillus. Dimorphic fungi may there is yeast form and there is mold form. Okay, yeast form and mold form is present in dimorphic fungi. So dimorphic fungi जो होती है, it will have an yeast form and a mold form. Thermal dimorphic and non-thermal dimorphic. Thermal dimorphic is based on the temperature, they are going to change the shape. The dimorphic is two forms, changing the shape according to the temperature. So if they are at a low temperature, that is at 25 degrees Celsius, in that case, if they are at 25 degrees Celsius, if they are at 25 degrees Celsius, then there is this mold that is there in the environment. At 37 degrees Celsius, yeast. Okay, and yeast present in tissues. So this is how there are dimorphic forms. Molds are present at 25 degrees Celsius. Yeast is present at 37 degrees Celsius. Okay. Molds are present in the environment, yeast is present inside the tissues. Example of thermal dimorphic fungi is SPS, that is systemic mycosis. इसमें 4 फंगस आती हैं. P is penicillin marnepi, इसमें only 1 fungus आती है. Another S is sporothrix. Okay, so this is another type of fungus जिसमें we have so systemic mycosis, 4 fungus, penicillin marnepi, 1 fungus, sporothrix is systemic mycosis, 4 fungus, penicillin marnepi, 1 fungus, sporothrix is another one. Non-thermal dimorphic is only at 37 degrees Celsius in twin form. So ये जो है ये नॉन थर्मल है, ऐसा नहीं है कि टेम्परेचर डिफरेंट होगा तो डिफरेंट फॉर्म में रहेगी, नहीं. इनफैक्ट ये सेम टेम्परेचर पे ही दूसरे 2 फॉर्म्स में रह सकती है, दैट इज एट 37 डिग्री सेल्सियस. ईस्ट फॉर्म ना मोल्ड फॉर्म. ईस्ट फॉर्म यहाँ पे रिवर्स है, वहाँ पे मोल्ड एनवायरनमेंट में था, यहाँ ईस्ट एनवायरनमेंट में मोल्ड जो है वो टिश्यूज में है. और इसका एग्जाम्पल इज Candida albicans. So Candida albicans is in fact yeast-like. They have pseudohyphae and it is non-thermal as well as dimorphic fungus. So these are the things or the characteristics about this yeast or this fungi. Clinical classification. Now clinically how you are going to classify fungus. It can be superficial or cutaneous. कि 2 हैं, सुपरफिशियल एंड क्यूटेनियस में हम 2 पढ़ेंगे, सबक्यूटेनियस हम 3 पढ़ेंगे, सिस्टेमिक हम 4 पढ़ेंगे और अपॉर्चुनिस्टिक इन्फेक्शंस कॉज करने वाली फंगस 5 है. ठीक, सो इट्स वेरी सिंपल. सुपरफिशियल से सबक्यूटेनियस, फिर सिस्टेमिक, फिर अपॉर्चुनिस्टिक 2, 3, 4, 5. Systemic mycosis, penicillin marnepi, and sporothrix. Then comes systemic mycosis. Systemic mycosis की हम बात करते हैं. But before that, before going for systemic mycosis, I'm going to quickly flip through the pages of Anand Narayan's general aspects of microbiology. This is the morphological classification. Okay, so yeast, Cryptococcus yeast like is Candida molds. We have dermatophytes, aspergillus, rhizopus, mucor, penicillium, बहुत सारे ऐसे. Dimorphic fungi is Blastomyces dermatitis, Coccidioides imitans, Histoplasma capsulatum, Sporothrix, Shekkai, Penicillosis, Marnepi, and Paracoccidiosis parasiensis. These are all. This is a septate hyphae, this is the septate hyphae. ये वेजिटेटिव फॉर्म से. ये क्या है? स्पाइरल हाइफे है, ये रैकेट माइसीलियम है एंड फेविक शैंडेलियर. ये शैंडेलियर टाइप है, ये हाइफा स्पाइरल है और ये रैकेट है. तो देखो ईस्ट सेल्स है, ये बडिंग ईस्ट सेल्स है और ये कैंडिडा एल्बिकन्स में स्यूडो हाइफे है. तो ये बडिंग जो है वो होती रहती है, वो उससे सेपरेट नहीं होता and it gives the appearance of pseudo. And systemic classification is lower fungi, higher fungi. Lower is Phycomyces. It has asexual as well as sexual spores. Okay. So in asexual spores, sporangiospores होते हैं. Sexual में there are oospores और zygospores. ठीक. Asexual में sporangiospores, sexuals में oospores और zygospores. Higher fungus में Ascomycetes, basidiomycetes, and deuteromycetes. Ascomycetes में asexual is corylea, sexual is ascospores. Basidium में asexual is again corylea, sexual is basidiospores. Deuteromycetes को fungi hypothetical that means asexual is corylea, sexual is not identified as them. Now these are the sexual spores. This is the zygospore, this is the ascospore, and this is the basidiospores. Lactophenol cotton blue is the LCE used for microscopic study of fungi colonies that are trees onto the slide and marker. So this was the LCD lab we were earlier talking about. Chitin is stained by LPC. LPC से stained होता है, LPC से stained होता है chitin. So let me check. Antifungal antibiotics are given here. Okay, a short division of this polyenes, amphotericin B, nystatin, and pymalicin. It binds to sterols containing perturbations in the cell membrane, systemic disease, skin infection, and eye infection. Imidazole, triazole, के लिए itraconazole, voriconazole, and ketoconazole. Itraconazole, voriconazole, ketoconazole. It inhibits ergosterol biosynthesis. Topical disease, ringworm or systemic disease. Pyrimidine, 5-fluorocytosine. It inhibits DNA and RNA synthesis used in association with amphotericin B. Grisons is griseofulvin. It inhibits the microtubule assembly. Dermatophytosis. Echinocandins is caspofungin and micafungin. It inhibits beta-glucan synthesis in the cell wall. Systemic disease due to candida seen in cryptococcosis. Caspofungin and micafungin. It inhibits beta-glucan synthesis in the cell wall. Systemic disease due to candida and also due to cryptococcosis. Then the first thing that we are going to study is the systemic mitosis. For cryptococcosis, for histoplasmosis, we have a case. But for the rest, we are not having. So let us see of the beginning. The template is dimorphism. All these fungi, they are dimorphic. So all these fungi, they will be dimorphic. And the distribution is in India. Distribution is in India. They are dimorphic. Because a disease and they have some diagnostic forms, and then we are going to talk about the drugs that are given. Itraconazole or amphotericin B is given for severe forms. So देखो पहले जो हम पढ़ रहे हैं वो है coccidioides images. ये dimorphic है. It is distributed in India and it is not distributed. So coccidioides is not found in India. It causes desert rheumatism, that is San Joaquin Valley fever. So San Joaquin Valley fever causes पास करते हैं. It forms chains. तो उसको हम क्या कहते हैं? आर्थ्रोपोनिडिया. And the treatment is by itraconazole or amphotericin. Oh, I just want to see the amphotericin data. Drug का mechanism of action. So amphotericin B is actually a polyene and it binds to steroids, causing perturbations in the cell membrane. Okay. So they have arthroponedia, that is the main. Then paracoccydoides brasiliensis, which is also dimorphic. It is not found in India. It causes what? It causes Lutz mycosis or South American blastomycosis. So remember, South American blastomycosis will be the paracoccydoides brasiliensis. Then blastomyces dermatitis. Blastomyces dermatitis. It is also dimorphic, but it is found in India. And it causes North American blastomycosis or Gilchrist disease or Chicago disease. So North America की चीजें हैं इसमें. Paracoccydia was in South America and Jaukin Valley was coccidioides. It is also called as broad-based bud blastomyces and they make a figure of 8 appearance. Treatment is same, amphotericin B and itraconazole. Then we have histoplasma capsulatum. So before going to histoplasma capsulatum, I am going to read out the case that is there for histoplasma capsulatum. A 35-year-old farm worker associated with chicken coops presented with fever, cough, anorexia, and lymphadenopathy. 35-year-old farm worker associated with what? Chicken coops. He presented with fever, cough, and anorexia, and also with lymphadenopathy. फीवर हो रहा है उसको, कफ हो रहा है उसको, एनोरेक्सिया हो रहा है, and there is lymphadenopathy as well. Okay. X-ray chest showed focal infiltrates and patchy obesities. Aspiration from lymph nodes showed the presence of intracellular yeast. Okay. Culture was carried out on SDA and incubated at 25 degrees Celsius to yield mycelial forms and 37 on BHI blood agar to demonstrate yeast forms. The mycelial form showed the presence of thick walled spherical spores with tubercles or tuberculate microconidium and microconidium. The fungus was identified as histoplasma capsulatum. Patient was put on liposomal amphotericin B for a period of 2 weeks and responded well to therapy. Histoplasma capsulatum is also dimorphic. In India, it causes Darling's disease or fungal flu. Why it is called as fungal flu? Because it mimics TB. This is the turbinate conidia with finger-like projections. This is the turbinate conidia with finger-like projections. Okay, and the treatment is amphotericin B. Histoplasma capsulatum has no capsule. It is present in the reticuloendothelial cells and it causes apical histoplasmosis. which is caused by the species Histoplasma dubosi. Okay, so this finishes our systemic mycosis. We have five in systemic, we have four, so four mycosis. Before moving ahead with opportunistic, I want to see and take through the pages of anatomy. The dermatitis में mycelial and form and yeast form, paracoccydoides mycosis स्पेस शेप अपीयरेंस होता है, स्पेस शेप अपीयरेंस होता है। ये साउथ अमेरिका में पाई जाएगी, साउथ अमेरिका में। See, they have a globose or oval cells with multiple buds encircling the metacell. This mariner's wheel or pilot wheel's appearance is characteristic. So mariner's wheel or pilot wheel भी कहते हैं पैराकॉक्सिडियोइडिस को। ये साउथ अमेरिका में था। Then the mycelial phase is found in nature and can be isolated in culture. Then coccidioides mycosis, San Joaquin Valley fever, yes. It's also pulmonary infection. It is also known as valley fever or desert rheumatism. This is coccidioides mitis, arthrospores भी होते हैं, and spherule stages. So histoplasma capsulatum is also called as Darling's disease. Dubosi is African histoplasmosis. Whereas it mimics TB, so TB को mimic करती है, तो मिलेरी calcification वगैरह होता है. This is histoplasma capsulatum, mycelial forms and yeast forms. तो ये हमारी systemic होगी. Okay, coming shortly after 10 minutes, and we are going to cover opportunistic diagnosis as prejudice. A short break. Opportunistic mycosis की बात करते हैं. For aspergillosis, we don't have a case here. Otherwise, I would have told you how it spreads, etc. So let's go on to the notes directly. Aspergillosis ये ऐसे है and there is occult ambival branching. This is what septate hyphae with dichotomous branching. Like there is septa and the hyphae there are septa and there is dichotomous branching. So there will be branching like this. So that is called as dichotomous branching. So this is what septate hyphae with dichotomous branching is like. Now Aspergillus fumigatus. Aspergillus fumigatus में there will be just one ऐसे flower like और सिर्फ एक तरफ there will be like ऐसे hair. So it is like this and like this. This is Aspergillus fumigatus. Then Aspergillus flavus will be like a flower. So there will is a circle and it will be like a flower. Aspergillus niger will be like this and this. It affects the patients with neutropenia and also patients with hematological malignancies. So this Aspergillus niger it affects the patients with neutropenia. अगर आपके में white blood cells कम हो गए, white blood cells में भी especially neutrophils वो कम हो गए, in that case Aspergillus niger is going to affect such people and also patients with hematological malignancy, and it is also going to affect the patients with hematological malignancies. And such patients of hematological malignancies, they are affects patients with neutropenia and also patients with hematological malignancies for all variants of Aspergillus. So it affects patients with neutropenia and also patients with what? Hematological malignancies for all variants of Aspergillus. Then it causes ABPA. Aspergillosis causes allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis. Okay. What is the form? Aspergilloma. It forms aspergilloma or fungal balls. तो ये हमारी लंग में जाके फंगल्स की बॉल्स बना देते हैं. So fungal balls or aspergilloma. It causes automycosis. So it can even cause automycosis. Automycosis is also known as keratomycosis. Automycosis or keratomycosis. Okay. And also keratomycosis. It produces aflatoxin by Aspergillus flavus. But as it produces aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is produced by Aspergillus flavus. So it forms aspergilloma, fungal ball, automycosis, keratomycosis. Okay. Automycosis, keratomycosis, and it produces aflatoxin. Aflatoxin is by Aspergillus flavus. Treatment is by voriconazole and the severe method of treatment is amphotericin B. It forms aspergilloma or fungal balls, automycosis and keratomycosis. Cause करेगा produces aflatoxin which is by Aspergillus flavus. Treatment is by what? Treatment is by voriconazole, and in severe cases it is by amphotericin B. So treatment is by voriconazole. Severe infections में it is amphotericin B. Severe infections amphotericin B, and treatment is mainly by voriconazole. Voriconazole severe is by amphotericin B. Then comes zygomycetes. So before going for zygomycetes, I'm just going to see any kind of diagrams for Aspergillus species as I said. This is one. This seems to be 2 meters. This seems to be what? Flavus. Yes, this is flavus and this is matter. ये sterile matter है और ये vesicle है. ये chlorophore है, septic है. That called zygomacytes. zygomacytes का members होते हैं candidiasis और moniliasis. All these are actually members of zygomacytes. See, in zygomacytes, the hyphae will be aseptate. There will be no septum, and they will be at a right angle. So a right angle branching मिलेगी हमको उसमें ऐसे 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 करके we will have a right angle branching. ठीक, aseptate hyphae with right angle branching. Absidia में क्या होगा? ये क्या है? This is internodal rhizoids. ये absidia है. ये दो nodes के बीच में there are certain flute-like structures जिनको हम क्या कहते हैं? Rhizoids कहते हैं. Now म्यूकोर में क्या हो जाएगा? म्यूकोर rhizopus में there will be absidia में internodal rhizoids है. जो rhizopus है उसमें हर नोड पे nodal rhizoids. Now ये म्यूकोर में क्या होता है? There are no rhizoids. In म्यूकोर there are no rhizoids. ठीक, म्यूकोर has no rhizoids and it affects the patients of diabetic ketoacidosis and also dialysis. In म्यूकोर there are no rhizoids. म्यूकोर होता है तो उसमें there are no rhizoids. It affects the patients of diabetic ketoacidosis and also dialysis. So mucor has no rhizoids. It affects the patients of diabetic ketoacidosis and also dialysis. Diabetic ketoacidosis or dialysis के patients में it affects them. Now mucor में क्या होता है? There is no rhizoids, and it affects the pH of diabetic ketoacidosis. It affects the patients of diabetic ketoacidosis and dialysis. Patients affect the rhizopus, nodal rhizoid, and mucor में there are no rhizoids. DKA और dialysis के patients को mucor. Now, most severe form and also common is rhinocerebral zygomatosis. Rhinocerebral. It affects the cavernous sinus and causes the thrombosis formation. And they are also angio-invasive in nature. Treatment is by amphotericin B. Okay, so this is how the treatment. Rhinocerebral zygomatosis. Candida. How is Candida now? Candida भी इसी में आता है. So it is unicellular and it acts as a commensal on the skin, throat, urethra, GIT. Skin, throat, urethra, GIT it acts as a commensal. It causes neutropenia. Neutropenia cause करता है. And it decreases the cell-mediated immunity. Cell-mediated immunity को decrease करता है. For example, diabetes mellitus, HIV, pregnancy, transplantation. In all three such patients, it decreases the cell-mediated immunity. So it's a commensal on skin, throat, urethra, GIT. It causes neutropenia. It decreases the cell-mediated immunity. ये diabetes mellitus cause करता है, HIV cause करता है, pregnancy और transplantation के बाद. Okay. Types: Candida albicans and Candida non-albicans. How are they differentiated? The only way to differentiate these two is the presence of is the formation of germ tube. So germ tube tests. ये rabbit serum में देंगे, उसमें हम रेनॉल्ड ब्रॉड फिनोमेना देखने को मिलेगा. That is the germ tube formation. तो इसमें albicans जो होता है, it shows the formation of germ tube, but non-albicans नहीं दिखाता. Plus, Candida albicans can grow at even 42 degrees Celsius, but non-albicans cannot grow or they fail to grow at 42 degrees Celsius. So, this is another point of difference. Coming over to Candida dublinensis. Candida dublinensis is also positive for geometry. So, Candida dublinensis जो होती है, it is positive for what? It is positive for geometry. Candida dublinensis is also positive for geometry. So, geometry जो है वो dublinensis में भी बनता है. Candida causes oral thrush, esophageal candidiasis, cerebral candidiasis, pulmonary candidiasis, vaginal candidiasis, जिसको नेबुलियोसिस भी कहते हैं. Treatment of mild cases is a nystatin and fluconazole, but severe cases में it is angiotensin B. Okay, North American blastomycosis is blastomyces, and South American is by triparadoxylum, European is cryptococcus. So European as blastomycosis is actually caused by cryptococcus. चलो अब ये देखिए, ये म्यूकोर है और बी राइजोपैसिन. ये स्पोरैंजियोस्पोर है, ये स्पोरैंजियोमेरिक कॉलमुला है, ये स्पोरैंजियोस्पोर है, ये नॉन सेप्टेड हाइफे है और राइजोइड्स. This is a gram stain showing gram-positive Candida or yeast with pseudohyphae and the pus cells in the tissues, and Candida is with pseudohyphae in culture. Now this is what? This is chlamydospores, and this is the germ tubes. Now going on to cryptococcosis or cryptococcosis or tortulosis. So this cryptococcosis का एक clinical case है हमारे पास. I'm just reading that out. A 27-year-old woman presented to the emergency department with altered sensorium and neck rigidity. Okay, altered sensorium and neck rigidity. Fine. She is 27-year-old woman. Okay, of my age. A lumbar puncture was carried out under aseptic conditions and sent to the laboratory. Okay, the patient was HIV seropositive, so HIV serum positive patient. Gram stain revealed gram positive round budding yeast, and there was no pseudohyphae. So, patient was HIV seropositive. Gram stain revealed gram positive around budding yeast, and there was no pseudohyphae. मतलब Candida was ruled out. Indian ink preparation showed capsulated budding yeast cells. Serum cryptococcal latex agglutination test was positive, 1:512. The culture on birdseed agar was positive for growth of the yeast. Urease test was positive, and culture confirmed the organism as Cryptococcus neoformans. The patient was treated with amphotericin B and also flucytosine. So in दोनों drugs से patient was treated with amphotericin B and also with flucytosine. ठीक. Patient was treated with amphotericin B and flucytosine. Then we are going to move ahead with our theory part. Cryptococcus neoformans. It is neurotrophic fungus. Neurotrophic fungus. It is commonly seen in nitrogen-rich soil and also in pigeon droppings. So it is neurotrophic fungus. Okay, जो nerves होती हैं वो involve होती हैं. So neurotrophic fungus. It is commonly seen in nitrogen-rich soil and also in pigeon droppings. नाइट्रोजन-rich soil में और pigeon droppings में मिलते हैं. Neurotrophic fungus commonly seen in nitrogen-rich soil and also in pigeon droppings. Commonly seen in nitrogen-rich soil and also pigeon droppings. Neurotrophic. Possesses polysaccharide capsule AVMS, that is antiphagocytic virulent, and serotypes S और M क्या था? ये को पूरा. Serotypes A, B, C, D, and ED. It produces melanin, black color का हो जाता है. Causes European blastomycosis. South American was by paracoccidium. North American was by blastomyces. Then most common cause of fungal meningitis in HIV positive patients is Cryptococcus neoformans और इसीलिए उसको हम neurotrophic fungi भी कहते हैं. fungi. It causes skin infections, pneumonia, and osteomyelitis. ये क्या क्या cause करता है? Skin में infections cause कर देगा, pneumonia cause करेगा, osteomyelitis cause करेगा. ठीक? Skin infections, pneumonia, osteomyelitis. These are the things that it is going to cause. Skin infections, pneumonia, osteomyelitis. Lab diagnosis में क्या होगा? Skin lab diagnosis में it is going to cause lab diagnosis CSF send देंगे. Indian ink या nigrosine से करेंगे. It is a negative step. So it produces melanin. Most common cause of fungal meningitis in HIV positive patients. It causes skin infections, it causes pneumonia, and it causes osteomyelitis. Skin infection, pneumonia, osteomyelitis. Then lab diagnosis is Indian जो अभी हमने पढ़ा nigrosine. It's a negative stain. When musicarmine, it is a positive stain. Bird seed agar or niger seed agar will show a brown colored or melanin colored colonies. Test is Cryptococcus antigen detection. Treatment is by amphotericin B and flucytosine. Maintenance in mild case is by fluconazole. So for maintenance treatment, you take fluconazole. Cryptococcus neoformans, why neoformans? Indian infiltration of spinal fluid showing E cells surrounded by a large capsule. So it is capsule. Then talking about pneumocystis. Pneumocystis. Most common cause of fungal pneumonia in HIV positive patients is what? It causes plasma cell pneumonia. Pneumocystis is the most common cause of fungal pneumonia in HIV positive patients. HIV positive patients में fungal pneumonia जो होता है वो pneumocystis pneumonia ही होता है. इसीलिए क्रिप्टोकोकस और इसमें pneumocystis में कंफ्यूज नहीं होना है. Because pneumocystis is respiratory system को affect करेगा. Whereas Cryptococcus neurotrophic होता है, that is nervous system को affect करेगा. Pneumocystis causes plasma cell pneumonia. It is non-cultivable. Specimen क्या होता है? Specimen is bronchoalveolar lavage and that is considered to be the best specimen. Okay, so which is considered to be the best specimen? The best specimen over here is bronchoalveolar lavage, and it is not gram stained. GM stain is cup-shaped yeast. Okay. Non-cultivable specimen is bronchoalveolar lavage. Bronchoalveolar lavage is the best specimen. GM stain is gomain methamine silver stain or gomain methamine PgNO3. There are cup-shaped yeasts, that is broken pin ball appearance or cup-shaped yeast. So it will be like a broken pin ball. Okay. ग्राम स्टेनिंग नहीं करनी, ब्रोंकोअल्वेolar लवाज करना, ठीक। ये गोमेन मिथामिन सिल्वर स्टेन पे कप शेप मिल रहा है हमको। Then comes LDH. Increase LDH and decrease in CD4 and decrease in PA. So it increases the LDH level, decreases the CD4 levels, and also decreases the partial pressure of oxygen. The drug of choice for this is quatrimoxazole. Quatrimoxazole is the drug of choice. All modes of transmission are seen in this inhalational except Candida. All modes of transmission are there, like inhalationally there, except Candida, which does not have as a mode of transmission. Best test is the fluorescent antibody test. Fluorescent antibody test is the best test. Okay. I am checking the book for a second if there is anything. Nothing. Then we have subcutaneous fungi or sporothetes. So before going on to this, I'm just checking in this chapter if there is anything. Subcutaneous fibrosis. Luckily, there is a case over here. A 45-year-old man, farmer by occupation, presented to the surgical OPD with history of multiple swellings in the foot and seropurulent pus discharging from the sinuses. The pus was subjected to gram stain, KOH preparation and modified acid-fast stain to check for botryomycotic or eumycotic or actinomycotic causes. KOH preparation revealed the presence of fungal hyphae and Marurella mycetomatis was isolated on culture. The patient was treated with oral ketoconazole. Debridement of the infected tissue with split graft was also performed. So, talking about that, but before that, we have sporothrics as well, or sporotrichosis. and there are no cases of sporotrichosis. Sporotrichs it is a dimorphic fungus. It exists in the yeast form and mold form. Yeast form is cigar shaped, whereas mold form is floret shaped like a flower. So it is like a flower. Shaped is the mold form and cigar shaped is the yeast form. Mode of transmission. Mode of transmission is by the prick of a thorn or by local inoculation. So this, what is the mode of transmission? The mode of transmission is by local inoculation or thorn. जो थॉर्न होता है उसके चुभने से होता है, तो इट इज आइदर बाय थॉर्न प्रिक और बाय लोकल इन्फ्लेमेशन. रोज गार्डन डिजीज में the ulcers are found along the lymphatic drainage. Rose garden disease में ulcers are found along the lymphatic drainage. Mode of transmission is by local inoculation, like this is the area. So local inoculation or thorn. Local inoculation or thorn. And then rose garden disease में ulcers are produced along the lymphatic drainage. On biopsy, you find asteroid bodies and drug of choice is intracromosome. चलो देखते हैं. Asteroid bodies are rounded or over basophilic yeast-like body with rays of eosinophilic substrates radiating from the yeast cell. So eosinophilic substrates. Then chromoblastomycosis. Chromoblastomycosis की बात करते हैं. Chromoblastomycosis का भी कोई केस नहीं है. It is subcutaneous fungal infection, typical cauliflower or wart-like lesions. So cauliflower या wart-like lesions रहेंगे. ऐसा लगेगा ऐसे गोभी का कुछ ऐसे निकला हुआ है. So it is cauliflower or wart-like lesions. Typical cauliflower or wart-like lesions. It is caused by group of fungi called as Poncer's Sacchi, Cladospora and Philiadopora and Acridemia. So it is a subcutaneous fungal infection. Typical cauliflower or wart-like lesions होते हैं caused by a group of fungi, Cladospora, Philiadopora, Acridemia and Poncer. Biopsy पे you will find as a copper penny bodies and regular bodies and uniform bodies or sclerotal bodies. Diagnosis is, treatment or drug of choice is itraconazole again. The term chromomycosis includes a group of clinical manifestations caused by dermatiaceous, that is pigmented fungus. इसको verrucous dermatitis भी कहते हैं. Warty lesions are seen. Dark brown means that bodies with substrate called as sclerotic bodies. Amphotericin means thiabendazole, 5-fluoro, ipraconazole, 5-fluorocytosine, ipraconazole, and recently voriconazole. Pheochymomatosis is this group includes localized systemic infections caused by certain species like Flora, Cladosporium. These are all sclerotic bodies. चलो उसके बाद हमको देखना है माइसेटोमा जिसका हमने केस करना है माइसेटोमा में क्या है देयर विल बी स्वेलिंग देयर विल बी अ साइनस एंड देयर विल बी discharging granules so there will be a swelling there will be sinus and there will be discharging granules so swelling will be sinus होगा and there will be discharging granules so there will be swelling there will be granules and there will be sinus swelling, sinus, and discharge granules. Now, what are the types? Okay, swelling, sinus, and discharge granules. ये माइसेटोमा. Types क्या हैं? Actinomycotic mycetoma. It is a bacterial mycetoma. इसको actinomadura भी कहते हैं, nocardia भी कहते हैं, और ट्रेप्टोमाइसिस भी कहते हैं. So, actinomycotic mycetoma is one that is actually bacterial mycetoma. इसी को हम एक्टिनोमैडुरा, नोकार्डिया और ट्रेप्टोमाइसिस इसमें ठीक है बैक्टीरियल माइसेटोमा एक्टिनोमाइसिस नोकार्डिया और ट्रेप्टोमाइसिस इनमें जो ग्रैन्यूल्स होते हैं वो येलो कलर के होते हैं सो दे प्रोड्यूस येलो ग्रैन्यूल्स एंड नो माइकोटिक इज कॉल्ड एज ट्रू फंगी ओके नो माइकोटिक बिकॉज देयर इज ट्रू फंगी and it has Madurella mycetomatosis, that is black granules, Acrimonium, Aspergillus, they will have white granules. So you might got it is to Madurella mycetomatosis is black granules, Acrimonium, Aspergillus, all these are white. Black granules in Madurella. Male mycotic distribution and botfly mycosis is actually staph aureus and Uvula. They produce white granules. Lab diagnosis, biopsy and HPV. HPV is considered the best. Treatment is for surgical management. So treatment will be surgical management. You need to do surgical management in such patients. Superficial fungi. So surgical management आपको इसमें करना है superficial fungi की अब बात करेंगे. So this finishes our subcutaneous mycosis. Now white to yellow, brown to black is the color. Red is of Actinomadurella pelliteri, Madurella mycetomatosis, Madurella gracia, and Exophiala genes helmi. These are other brown to black varieties. Superficial fungus. Talking about superficial mycosis. Luckily, there is a case. A 9-year-old boy presented at the dermatology OPD complaining of change in the color of his toenails for about 4 months. So he says that for the past 4 months there has been change in the color of his toenails for about 4 months. Okay. He had no history of trauma or eczema to the foot. On examination, onycholysis, that is separation of the nail plate from the nail bed of multiple toenails, was observed. The nails were clipped, and a potassium hydroxide preparation on microscopy revealed the presence of thin septate hyphae. Okay? Nails were clipped and KOH preparation on microscopy, thin septate hyphae. Culture on subura dextrose agar containing cyclohexamide showed the growth of mycelial fungi, which on LCD mount revealed the presence of slender septate hyphae. There were slender septate hyphae with few pencil-shaped macroconidia, and many oval microconidia. So pencil-shaped macroconidia and many oval microconidia. Okay. This was identified as Trichophyton rubrum, the most common pathogen in onychomycosis. The patient was treated with oral griseofulvin and recovered. So that is about dermatomycosis. But टीनिया के वर्सी कलर के बारे में कुछ नहीं दिया है. वर्सी कलर is like various color and see. Tina versicolor is caused by Malassezia furfur or globosa. It is lipophilic fungus. See what kind of fungus it is? It is actually lipophilic fungus. Malassezia pachydermatitis. It is non-lipophilic and it is also a zoonotic disease. It is lipophilic fungus. Lipophilic, like it is attracted to what? Lipids. Malassezia pachydermatitis, it is non-lipophilic and it is a zoonotic disease. Okay. It is non-lipophilic and zoonotic disease. Malassezia pachydermatitis is non-lipophilic and it is zoonotic pachydermatitis. Corpus is lipophilic. It produces hypo or hyperpigmented lesions. What does it produce? It produces hyperpigmented or hyperpigmented lesions. On biopsy, you see a spaghetti meatball appearance or banana and grapes appearance. So, treatment is by topical antifungal. Okay. This was all about Tina versicolor. I am going to check whether there is anything more on the book. चलो इसमें और भी कुछ नहीं है. Then cutaneous mycosis का हमने केस अभी पढ़ाई था. इसको डर्माटोफाइट्स कहते हैं. ये केराटोफिलिक होती है. यहाँ पे केराटिन होगा वहाँ होती है. Keratin hair में या nails में या skin में. Now apart in these, trichophyton, microsporum and epidermophyton, ये तीन है. अच्छा इसमें स्पीशीज कितनी है इसमें? सी 10 अगर है तो उसी को हम स्मॉल ऑर्डर में जाएंगे तो ट्राइकोफाइटोन की 24 है, माइक्रोस्पोरम की 16 है एंड एपिडर्मोफाइटोन की 2 ही है. ओके एंड यू नो स्किन में सब अफेक्ट होता है. हेयर में वी हैव हिट एम नहीं होगा नहीं. हेयर में क्या था? हिट नहीं था. इट वॉज स्टेम नेट एंड HMT. HMT ई नहीं होगा हेयर में. नेट था तो ई और टी होगा, एम नहीं होगा एन में. अब माइक्रो और मैक्रोकोनिडिया की बात आती है. Microconidia in trichophyton will be like a raindrop. Okay. In microsporum, it can be present or absent, and in epidermophyton, microconidia they are absent. So, in M, it can be present or absent. Macroconidia in trichophyton will be pencil shaped. In microsporum, it will be like spindle shaped. Yes, it will be spindle shaped. And epidermophyton will be club shaped. ये macroconidia है. Pencil shaped, spindle shaped, club shaped. ठीक है. This was all about dermatophytes. Now there is a mnemonic. For hair, you have HMP, hair microsporum trichophyton. Nail के लिए net, skin के लिए stem. Tinea capitis is for scalp. Barbarae is for beard. Corporus is for body. Crurus is for the inguinal region या jaw cage. Pedis is for foot, athlete's foot. Now there is one tinea, mentagrophyte and rotrum. Now how we are going to differentiate these two? We are going to differentiate these two by hair perforation test. Mentagrophytes give a positive and rotrum gives a negative. D3 is dermatophyte test medium. Treatment is topical anti-fungal. Now there is something called as ectothrix and endothrix. Okay. Now ectothrix में क्या होगा? Ectothrix में है MAC. MAC TB is present inside the house. So tonsurum's violation is actually endothrix. So TB is like that. And apart from that, there is also T. pseudomycin. Ectothrix will have the perforated meathery bahar. So ectothrix. So mentagrophytes, M. ordini and camus. Okay. These are the examples of ectothrix. Let me check if there is anything extra that needs to be addressed to. Tinea capitis is microsporum, any species. Trichophyton is the any species. Trichophyton no species. Favus is by Cholony and Violation. Gypsum. Barbae is by Rubrum, Mentagrophytes and Verrucosum. Ectothrix is maximum microsporum species. Engo is by Cholony, Tonsilins and Violation. This is a dermatophyte hyphae in skin skeleton KOH. ये क्या है? ये ectothrix है. ये एंडो है. माइक्रोस्पोरम का कैसा होता था? इट्स अ सिगार शेप, इस स्पिंडल शेप. सिगार शेप किसी का नहीं होता, पेंसिल शेप इज ट्राइकोफाइट. और एपिडर्मोफाइटोन का तो फ्लैट शेप होता है. So with this we finish it. Rhinosporidiosis is actually caused by Rhinosporidium seedberry. The taxonomic position is currently uncertain with doubts being raised upon whether it can be considered a fungus. So it is actually a Protestant parasite. We finish our viral our this mycology here itself. Moving on to viruses. Um, Viruses may there are a few minutes left, so let's begin viruses and then we will start. Now, in virology, we are going to do the general properties, we are going to do classification, and we are going to do study about the multiplication, cultivation, and identification of viruses. Now, what are the general properties? The general properties are they are acellular. Okay, so yes, they are acellular. They are obligate intracellular, always inside the cells. They are made of DNA or RNA and they are diagnosed by ELISA or PCR. Treatment is by antiviral drugs, by vaccines, prophylaxis. It is for few viruses we have vaccines. Classification. It is classified on the basis of nuclear material, that is DNA virus or RNA virus, and also on the basis of envelope, whether they are enveloped or they are non-enveloped. Symmetry. See, viruses, they have either icosahedral symmetry or they have a helical symmetry. Okay, DNA viruses and RNA viruses. I'm talking about the DNA virus. See, DNA viruses, I think I read somewhere that DNA viruses are happy viruses. Okay, so by happy word we mean they are hepatitis B virus, herpes virus is H, then A is adenovirus, then virus, parvovirus, and pox virus. So these are HAPP1, is papova. So that is why they are called as happy viruses. So hepatitis B virus, herpes virus, adenovirus, parvovirus, pox virus, and papavirus. Now, how to know whether the DNA is double-stranded or single-stranded? Only parvovirus का DNA is single-stranded. Rest everyone's DNA is double-stranded. Okay. Only parvovirus DNA is single-stranded. Parvovirus का DNA is single-stranded, whereas rest of the viruses they have a double-stranded DNA. Now, after this, another thing that comes to us is that whether they are enveloped or they are non-enveloped. Okay. Now, enveloped viruses कब बोलेंगे? Enveloped viruses will be enveloped and non-enveloped. Now, if their viruses are causing diarrhea, then they will be non-enveloped viruses. And if they do not cause diarrhea, then they will be enveloped viruses. Another thing is pox virus is the largest virus, so it will be enveloped. Another thing is hepatitis B and herpes viruses. They do not cause diarrhea, so they will be enveloped. Adenovirus, parvovirus, they will be non-enveloped virus. Okay. Now, how to know about the symmetry of this web, which is having icosahedral, which is having helical symmetry. Now, pox virus is the only virus that has complex symmetry because it is very large. So it is brick shaped. While all the rest of the viruses they have icosahedral symmetry. So icosahedral symmetry rest में, while the pox virus has a complex brick shaped symmetry. So brick shaped will be this pox virus. Then comes RNA virus. RNA viruses जो होते हैं, they can be single stranded RNA virus or a double stranded RNA virus. Now single stranded RNA virus जो होते हैं, see, double-stranded RNA virus is only Rio virus, so you remember that. Just like double-stranded DNA virus all the other viruses are double-stranded except parvo, that is single. यहाँ पे double-stranded RNA virus is Rio virus, but single-stranded RNA virus in. Now there are certain viruses which have single-stranded in positive sense, single-stranded in negative sense. Now, if anything is positive, then you know is patient with CCF is living very positively. Okay, so patient with CCF lives positively. So though it is very paradoxical statement, but still we are going to go with this that patient with CCF positive sense. So picorna virus, picorna viridi, toga viridi, calci, corona, and flavi. Coronavirus is actually a single-stranded RNA virus with a positive sense. Positive sense. Like it's not spreading anything positive. Flavivirus, calcivirus, all these they come. They are positive sense. Negative sense wale, they are Bokra. Negative sense single-stranded RNA viruses Bokra, Banya viridae, orthomyxovirus, paramyxovirus, rhabdovirus, and arena virus. Okay. Now, how to know whether the virus of the the virus's RNA is segmented or not? So segmented में क्या है? Segmented is like टूटा हुआ. टूटा हुआ is with abor, arena, banya, orthomyxo and rio. तो वो कैसे segments होंगे? will have 2 segments, banya will have 3, orthomyxo will have 8, and rio will have 10 to 11 segments. That is abor. 11 होते हैं. Now influenza रियो में 11 होते हैं. इन्फ्लुएंजा वायरस जो है वो ऑर्थोमिक्सो कैटेगरी में आता है, तो उसमें 8 होते हैं. रोटा वायरस में 10 होते हैं. सो जस्ट रिमेंबर इट लाइक दैट. नाउ नॉन एनवेलप्ड आरएनए वायरसेस. नॉन एनवेलप्ड आरएनए वायरसेस में यू हैव नॉन एनवेलप्ड आरएनए वायरसेस में यू हैव, अब एनवेलप ही नहीं है वायरस में, आरएनए में एनवेलप नहीं है, तो क्या करेगा? जो आरएनए वायरसेस जो होते हैं अगर एनवेलप नहीं होता है तो वो डायरिया करवाते हैं. तो वो उसका क्या निमोनिक है? क्रैप. क्रैप इज पॉटी. सो डायरिया पॉटी से एसोसिएटेड है. तो सी इज फॉर कैल्सी वायरस, रियो वायरस, एस्ट्रो वायरस एंड पिकॉर्ना वायरस. कैल्सी, रियो, एस्ट्रो एंड पिकॉर्ना. हेलिकल सिमेट्री कैसे होती है? हेलिकल सिमेट्री is seen in what? हेलिकल सिमेट्री किसमें बनती है? अभी तक हमने हेलिकल सिमेट्री की कोई बात ही नहीं करी, देखते हैं किसमें होती है। हेलिकल सिमेट्री मतलब गोल गोल घूमना, ठीक। गोल गोल घूमने से हमें दो चीजें याद आ सकती हैं। एक तो माई बॉयफ्रेंड इज रिच, ये एक निमोनिक है, माई बॉयफ्रेंड इज रिच। तो मैं उसके साथ गोल 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 घूमती रहती हूँ शहर में, दैट इज वाई हेलिकल सिमेट्री। अनदर थिंग इज सचिन तेंदुलकर यूजेस MRF बैट, तो ये हेलिकल सिमेट्री के लिए है। मिक्सो, रैप्टो, फाइलो, बन्या, ये है। अब वायरस का मल्टीप्लिकेशन कैसे हो रहा है? So multiplication of the virus is going to be by attachment and then entry and then uncoating and then multiplication. Attachment, entry, uncoating and multiplication. In case of DNA viruses, all the DNA viruses, they are going to multiply inside the nucleus except POX. क्योंकि POX का स्ट्रक्चर इतना ज़्यादा बड़ा है that it cannot go inside nucleus, तो वो साइटोप्लाज्म में रह जाता है. In case of RNA viruses, all multiply in the cytoplasm except influenza and HIV. In case of RNA viruses in case of RNA viruses, all multiply in the cytoplasm except influenza. None will multiply in the cytoplasm except influenza and HIV, which multiply in the nucleus. And they will be released. So release में जो होता है enveloped viruses जो होते हैं, they are released by budding, but जिनमें envelope ही नहीं है तो वो बस lysis से होते हैं. When two viruses they are going to infect the same cell, then it is called as phenotyping mixing. But when a virus with a genome of one type and a nucleocapsid of another type is introduced into a new cell, then the new virions will have the genome and the nucleocapsid of the type of the parent gene. Okay. Parents ऐसा. कल्टीवेशन एग इनोकुलेशन में होगा या फिर एनिमल मॉडल्स में. आप एग में भी ग्रो कर सकते हो, एनिमल मॉडल्स में भी ग्रो कर सकते हो. ओरियो एमनियोटिक मेम्ब्रेन में ग्रो करने वाले होते हैं खाली हर्पेस और पॉक्स वायरस. योग साक में ग्रो करने वाले होते हैं क्लेमाइडिया एंड रिकेट्सिया, वेस्ट नाइल फीवर और जेई. और एलेंटॉइड कैविटी में होते हैं जो वैक्सीन जिसके लिए है. हमारे पास रेबीज है, इन्फ्लुएंजा है, येलो फीवर है, ऑल दीज विल ग्रो इन एलेंटॉइड कैविटी. योग साक, क्लेमाइडिया, रिकेट्सिया और जेई, वेस्ट नाइल फीवर, ये सब आपका योग साक में. फिर एनिमल मॉडल में इन्फेंट सकलिंग माइस में कॉक्सैकी बी वायरस, ऑर्गन में और ट्रैकियल रिंग में कोरोना वायरस कैन बी ग्रोन. सो ट्रैकिया में होता है इसीलिए. देन टिश्यू में अड्रीनल ग्लैंड्स में वी कैन ग्रो अडिनो वायरस. सेल कल्चर में प्राइमरी में 1 to 2x, लो पैसेज अप टू 50x and continuous infinite times from the cancer cells, but this is not available for vaccination. Okay, so rest of the virology, that is identifications and other related, we are going to do it in the next session. I'm stopping this session here. Thank you so much.